The ANC Youth League's first elective conference since 2015 is finally getting underway at the Nasrec Expo Centre. Let's unpack this in detail with political analyst Yolokazi Mfuto. Yolokazi, I appreciate your time this evening. Now, talk to us about the implications of the ANC Youth League holding a conference after such a long time.
Good evening, Yuko. Good evening to the viewers for Newzroom Afrika. For the ANC Youth League to host its conference now, I do think that it is long overdue. Remember, it's been 8 years. They dissolved a number of task teams, PCC, and all the other terms that you can think of for interim structures. So it is a perfect moment. And as we are concluding the youth month, it's very important for them to actually claim their stance within the ANC and the existence of the ANC Youth League in this country.
Well, obviously, those that are in power are a little bit rusty. The conference was expected to have started at midday. It is now a little after 6 p.m. and hasn't quite started yet. What can we expect from this conference?
Yes, I saw the conference has been delayed for quite a lot, and we can tell that there's a lot of infighting within even the structure that is currently leading. We saw yesterday that the convener, Xola was actually recalled from convening the conference by the SG of the ANC. This is because of the conference that happened in the Eastern Cape, and the results of the contenders for this conference is also contested because it's only 5 people who have met the threshold to contest unless the others are nominated from the plenary. So this also called for some infighting and some people speaking against the existence of this conference and nullifying it even now. And the other regions in Limpopo, Vembe, they are also intending to litigate the conference post. It's sitting saying that it is not sitting according to their administrative processes. So a lot of things are touted. So this is quite... there is a lot of anticipation that the conference might be disrupted by those who are disgruntled. But secondly, the conference post is sitting, even if it does elect its leadership, it is going to be litigated. And I'm hoping that even in this particular conversation of then the young people themselves fighting amongst each other, they can still find their autonomy, find their voice, and also find their common understanding of why they exist today and why is it important that we must have the ANC Youth League in this country. Because currently there are questions on why do we still have this ANC Youth League the structure, because it's not doing anything we have not had in the past 8 years. So what difference is it going to make? But I do hope that young people within the ANC are going to find each other and find a common ground and try and maybe redeem the ANC leading to the elections next year.
Well, you do raise an important question. What difference is it going to make having this conference and obviously the election of the ANC Youth League leadership?
Yes, indeed. And we've seen, leading to the conference, we've seen factions, economic freedom or death, and some saying that death because we also want autonomy. And some leaders within the ANC Youth League have accused the SG of the ANC, Fikile Mbalula, for interfering and actually snatching the autonomy of this particular current structure and the entire youth league. And they are saying that if then they don't have autonomy, they better not exist. So this also brings us to the question of ANC Youth League as a think tank for the ANC and to suggest progressive, innovative economic policies and other policies that affect young people in our country, and to position young people from local position into a global perspective. And we have not seen that since the likes of Julius Malema were expelled from the ANC. So we're hoping that in spite of these infighting, they will still retain their autonomy, retain their old glory, and retain their ideas. And, of course, whatever that they want to see in the future, and maybe them producing another president if ANC still is in the reign to run for governance.
Well, you raise an issue of autonomy, and certainly the Secretary General meddling, if you will, in the affairs of the ANC Youth League. When it's fully functional, when it's functional as it is expected to, what is the actual relationship between the ANC Youth League and the ANC proper?
Yes, so if you remember, Hugo, so when the ANC Youth League was formed in the 1940s, right, by people like the likes of Anton Lembede, they were like, yes, the ANC exists and it's good in its existence, but young people, they are often isolated in ideas. So we need space for young people to agitate in their own spaces and have their own voice and platforms to discuss issues affecting young people. So initially, the strategic point of a think tank to produce ideas that are fresh, innovative, and ideas that actually, even if they don't appease the National Executive Committee, but at some point they must take them because they come from young people, as long as they're progressive. So that value of the ANC Youth League has been continuous, including when the current SG was leading. He was also a very much integral leader of the ANC Youth League in suggesting ideas into the ANC. And we've seen also the likes of Malusi Gigaba, we've seen the likes of Nelson Mandela agitating for the economic freedom within the ANC, resulting in the greatest economic policies of the ANC are integrated in their conferences. So the ANC Youth League must not just be a conveyor belt for leadership or just a numbers in a game within the NEC structures, or just for young people to delegate people to serve in parliament, legislatures, in other structures. But that youth league must produce ideas that are going to shape the country forward. Currently, the country is facing a lot of challenges, including the low spending, high unemployment rate. It is a space for young people to actually validate ideas and actually channel them to the right structures and ensure that they secure their demographic dividend. Because in as much as young people within the ANC or in the country, a particular portion that is not 100%, in the future, it's going to be 100% the generation that we're young today that are going to have to account and live with the repercussions of the circumstances that we find ourselves in today.
Yolokazi, you talk about the ANC Youth League and its dysfunctional state at the moment, if you will. But when it's fully functional, they have a seat at the high table. They sit on the NEC and are in a position where they can contribute to some of the decisions that are made by the governing party. Let's talk about how long that process will take, in your view. If this conference does happen and happens successfully, how long is it going to be before they get to a point of influence and accord to or claim their seat at the high table?
So the trick that is going to be, Hugo, is how these young people are going to be elected. This weekend. Let's hope they get elected. How long they take to actually claim their autonomy in thinking, in strategy, in themselves as independent leaders of this country. So for them to contribute effectively within the NEC of the ANC and also suggest progressive ideas, there must be individuals who are actually capable of leading, individuals who are capable of being think tanks and actually strategizing for the country. So for them to be influential, it's not only going to be about who are they associated with and who's actually delivering them in this particular conference as claims have been, but it is about how much they can assert themselves in the seat. But again, I'm saying this on a very positive note that the ANC is very much welcome to ideas coming from young people. And the country is welcome to ideas that come from young people, because young people are often taken just as numbers, not as people who can actually come up with progressive ideas. So those young people must ensure that they capacitate themselves and ready themselves for those meetings post their election. But equally, the ANC must be enabling and the environment must be cultivated for young people to actually voice their ideas that are progressive and not necessarily be afraid to disagree with the leadership and make demands on the table and say, if this thing is not going to happen, if young people in this country are going to be unemployed up until this rate, we are going to withdraw A, B, C, and D, or they should make ultimatums for the young people that they claim to represent. Because the old people who are serving us don't care about how the country is going down. We've seen that. We've seen with the rampant corruption that happens, that is actually perpetuated by the current leadership within government. So if young people are not going to agitate and actually have their own ground and independence in in taking accountability to hold these guys responsible for all their messing around in these governments.
Yolokazi, finally, let's talk about next year's elections. What role do you see a functional ANC Youth League playing in that role, certainly for the ANC, and getting them re-elected into power by particularly the young people of South Africa?
The ANC Youth League, and we've seen with young people in this country that we can't just negate their existence. And at a particular extent, their impact, be it is positive or negative, that is not the conversation currently, but we've seen their impact. And the young people who are leading within the organizations, they come from communities. They have done the work, some of them. Some they've led causes, some they've led in communities, some they've led protests in the country. So they do have a grip within society and the challenges that we're facing as a country. So their leading the campaign for the ANC might at some point begin to save the ANC a bit, because we know that the ANC, even if they win elections next year, the possibility of them winning with a good margin, 50+1, is very much not possible currently because we are safe, right? But with a very much revitalized ANC Youth League and united one, probably the ANC might have a bit of grace from young people themselves, because currently young people have not been pitching to voting stations. Currently, young people are being actually more inspired, and they are called to come and vote, register. Next year is our 1994. 2024 is our 1994. So if the ANC Youth League can also join the bandwagon and actually rally young people to go and vote, and maybe campaign for the ANC, then the ANC might see different results. But the ANC must not only use the ANC Youth League as just campaigning. They must see them as people who actually can lead as well. Because young people should not only just lead in their youth leagues, Hugo. Young people must lead in government because young people are capable. And we've seen the credentials that young people across the country have. We've seen the work that they're currently doing voluntarily in their own community. The ideas that they agitate for and write about and speak about, they're very much valued and they are very much strategic. So it's very important that the ANC, they integrate young people, quality, not just young people, quality young people who've done the work, who have the qualifications, and when needs be, but young people who are capable. Then probably next year the elections would have a different, interesting turn. But I also want to urge young people in the country to register to vote, to ensure that they go and vote for a party that they know about, that they want to see them lead. And also be cognizant of the challenges that we find ourselves in today, the load shedding, the unemployment, the high fees rate, in even private education, even higher education. So it's quite a lot of challenges that we have in this country. So we don't have any chance not to vote next year.
Yolokazi Mfuto, political analyst, appreciate your time